Perfect. We are live.
Yay! Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Taylor. I'm with the Florida Freedom Keepers. I'm one of the executive directors. I live in Orlando, and I've had the amazing opportunity to meet Drew-Montez Clark for District 80. Florida Freedom Keepers is a civil liberties organization with a focus on medical freedom. We're a statewide organization, and our goal this summer and throughout the next few months is to connect with politicians. We believe that advocacy works hand in hand with political campaigns and meeting politicians. And we know sometimes meeting politicians can be a little intimidating. You may not know what to say. You may not even know who's running in your area. So I've had the amazing pleasure of this is my son. He's going to hang out on my call. Of meeting Drew. And I just wanted you guys to get an opportunity to meet him tonight as well. So we're going to talk to Drew a little bit, get to know him, get to understand what it's like in the political field. So thank you, Drew, so much for being on our call tonight. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me on and doing this as a interview.
Yes, this is a great introduction. And I think doing a virtual meetup is going to be something that we do a lot more of just because of what's happening in the world. This is a really great way for people throughout the state to get to meet you. So tell the Florida Freedom Keeper community where you're located.
So I am in Southwest Florida.
Mom.
And we live in Naples, sunny Naples. I love this coast. We moved here probably, 2012. We've been here. I'm here as a result of my wife. She's the person who first got me here, which is a very good reason when you meet her. But now you could not get me to leave if you tried. So this is our home. We have three beautiful girls. And so if you all are praying people, just send prayers my way because it's a lot right now.
Yeah, it's great that you have daughters. I love that. And Naples is such a gorgeous area too. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got into politics?
Well, to be honest, politics was not on my radar probably until 6 weeks ago. Ultimately, what happened is I found myself going on more than a few constitutional rants. I mean, this is literally how it happened. And I was raised with the notion that I cannot have an opinion or complain, but for so long until I figure out what my role is in the solution. So it started with what I call a Patriot Challenge. And the Patriot Challenge really was challenging everyone on my page to look out over what was happening in the US, look at leadership, the leaders that were remaining silent, to take note, because in my opinion, leaders should not be silent in moments like these. And then number two, to look at the decisions that were being made and see whether or not they lined up with faith in the Constitution. And if they did, great. If they didn't, take that to the polls in August and November. And the last statement that I made was, if you cannot find anyone that embodies those principles, then you run yourself. And I did this whole fist bump, fired up. And, it wasn't until a week later that I read my own post, and then I became convicted by my own post, and here we are.
That's incredible. And it sounds like God had a really big hand in your advocacy and inspiring others, and then a really nice revelation to yourself that you're like, wow, this will make sense if I'm this convicted. Let's make a difference. And I'm a big advocate with you. Silence is compliance. And when you see political leaders being silent about subjects that affect lots of people, it is important to take notes.
Right. I 100% agree with that. And there's actually a statement that I say that's very similar. I kind of like your silence is compliance. It rhymes. So you said it a lot more eloquently than I do. But I do say that ultimately, if I chose or choose to remain silent now, I become complicit in the problem. So I have to act. I have to do something. And I think I have gifts and talents that I can bring to the table. And who am I to keep them silent and keep them under wraps?
Yeah, and it's incredible because I think a lot of our community who are just now getting involved politically, and it's so amazing for us to see somebody who has a different background is now being a spokesperson politically, is willing to stick your neck out politically, is willing to run a race and try a new venture because of your convictions and your beliefs. And that's exactly what we need in America. It's exactly what we need in Florida. As you can see with a lot of the county commission meetings that are being held, especially with mask mandates or other mandates, you can see that it's important for people to raise their voice, raise awareness, and to advocate for themselves and their individual liberties. So I think it's just incredible that you're on this journey.
Absolutely. When you really go, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was getting ready to say just in response to what you said that when you let me see how do I put this. I guess when you have something that you're convicted by to this degree, um, I started asking myself questions about what type of America that I want to grow up in.
Oh,
And
I
that
want to go. I want
really adds
to
an extra
sleep.
layer of conviction when you mix in the fact that everything that we do, not everything, but a lot of things that we do to make the next generation better. So when you rope that into the equation, it strengthens the convictions that you have, and it causes you to get to a point where you have no choice but to act. And if you don't act, it's something that I don't want to deal with within myself later. Not knowing that I did everything within my power to help usher in united positive solutions that benefit us all.
Yeah, I agree. And I think really being a part of the solution is the foundation of why we're here. Florida Freedom Keepers has a focus on medical freedom. We are a statewide organization that focuses on individual liberties. And I know that's a part of your platform and campaign. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you feel about individual liberties and medical freedom?
I will, and I'll start with saying that one of my affinities is healthcare, and fundamentally, a lot of times I want to keep the conversation with regard to liberties on the concept of liberty, and that's when I'm going to back it up with the Constitution. So we can get into efficacy conversations and go as deep as we want to go down that rabbit hole. But for right now, I want to stay with the whole liberty point because regardless of whether I believe something to be efficacious or you do, my stance is, and I think it's backed by the Constitution, that we should all have the right to choose for ourselves what is best for us and best for our families. And if we stay on that front, then I have to respect your choice, regardless of whether your choice is something I agree with or not, and then vice versa. So we can move forward with mutual respect, independent of a conversation about efficacy, because from a humanitarian perspective, from a constitution perspective, you deserve the right to choose. And I think you're fully capable of choosing what's best for you and your family, as am I. And we won't always agree on that. And I think that's what makes America beautiful, in that we are a multi-gender, ethnic, multicultural country that we can all work together and walk forward in a united fashion, even though we don't agree on every single point. And I think that message in and of itself is missing right now. Even though we're talking about medical freedoms, it carries over into so many other things at this particular point. So yes, medical freedoms, health freedoms, individual liberties is very, very big for me because I think it's very, very big and spelled out in the Constitution.
Yeah, and I love what you said. It's very uniting. And I think that is so empowering to say, it's okay that we don't have to agree. It's okay that you don't always have to share my same point. And that's what makes America great, the melting pot of culture and ideology, and just being able to respect each other so that we can all care for the individual liberties and what's been founded in the Constitution. I am a daughter of the American Revolution, and it's always been amazing to see the history of America. We just celebrated the 4th of July.
Absolutely.
And it's just incredible to see how this great country has come to be with the focus on the Constitution. So is there anything that you would like to share with our community or even your community, because I know we're on your page now, that would help people to understand a little bit more about you and your campaign platform?
First thing that I want to do is applaud you, because one thing that happened when I got this conviction,
Okay, come here.
run and throw my
Come
head
sit with me.
Mom,
state
I
rep,
want to
is I went to my wife and I asked her how she felt about it, right? Because we have a family. This impacts not only me, but it impacts our entire family. So just watching you now, we have 3 kids. Our oldest is going to be 6 next month. Our middle is 3, and our youngest is 1. Just turned 1 last month. So I saw a hand in your face, rubbing your cheek, grabbing your arms. And that's a beat with regard to your question. So I got to that was awesome. I may have skipped over 3 words and not where I was with me, but hey, first and foremost.
He's our co-host for tonight.
But ultimately, I think right now, hopefully, some good. And there's always a silver lining in things. Sometimes we have to dig a lot longer and a lot deeper to find the positive. But there's always a positive. There's always a silver lining. And my hope and my prayer is that everything that's transpired up to this point has allowed people to put a greater emphasis on state and local politics. I think there's a tendency for us to overlook state and local, and we look towards presidential races, we look towards governor races, but we overlook the people that are in position to impact us to the greatest degree in the quickest fashion. That's state and local politics. So what happens is we get down to the last 2 weeks and there's 50 other names other than the presidential or governor candidates, let's just say. And now we have to figure out who the other 50 people are at the last minute. So hopefully the silver lining in this is people are paying attention and people are looking at their state and local representation and making sure that they vote according to what brings value to them and what's most dear to their belief systems. I also want to say that, when we look at voting, I would really look at policy. Respect for me goes a lot deeper than likability. So I don't vote for someone because I like them. I vote for them because I look at their policies and I respect their positions. And that goes far deeper than whether I like them or not. If I do, that's just an added bonus. Now you're someone not only that I would vote for, but I would hang out with you too. Being able to hang out with you has nothing to do with whether or not I think you're going to do the best job based on your policy and based on the conviction I see behind what you're saying. So I think it's important not only for us to look at state and local politics, but to understand how to look at a candidate and figure out whether that candidate is someone that we can stand behind or not. And to build on that, it's okay. There's beliefs that I share, but beyond having beliefs that I share, I need enough conviction to be able to cover not only the person that stands in front of me's disbelief, but everyone else who I encounter. I need to have enough conviction to be able to stand tall against a few arrows. Right now, fundamentally, I think we are literally at war, I feel like, for the heart of our country. And now is not the time to be silent. Now is the time to speak up. And that looks different for everybody. And we'll get to that in a minute. But fundamentally, we need to, at this particular point, stand up and take action. And we need people who are objective and have enough gumption, if you will, if I can use that word, to stand tall in the face of uncertainty and in the face of the mob. Because I see on both sides of the spectrum right now, people bowing to the mob because they're getting pressured in one way or the other. And the people that we elect into these positions need to be able to stand tall on the Constitution and their faith in these moments, or else what's the point in putting them there? So I can say it all day long, but you need to be able to see and believe that I'll stand on it when the time comes and when it counts and matters the most.
Yeah, and that's what we look forward to, because I'm so new to politics. I had no idea the state and local officials like mayors and sheriffs and county commissioners had so much influence and power. So this is such a really important discussion for us to have. How much power are we going to give the government? And with those government officials, are we going to trust them to make the best choices for us. And I think that's really important that you bring those state and local officials in and what they stand for, because we are at war. We can see the divisiveness, we can see the hate and the bullying and the fear mongering. And it is time to stand and be a powerful people. So, can you tell our community a little bit more about the seat that you're running for and what your campaign looks like, and how, if they wanted to help volunteer for your campaign, what that would look like for them?
Absolutely. I want to comment on your question, and I'll get right into that, or your statement.
Sure.
Right? And that was how much power that we give the government. And I think it's something very important. This was one of the first videos I did prior to being convicted to the race. And that was the concept that the government is derived from the power the government has derived from the consent of the governed, right? And the governed are the people. And I think people have forgotten that the power actually rests with them, and the Constitution backs that up. And at the same time, I think that there are leaders and elected officials that have forgotten that it's not about me. This is servant leadership. It's not about me. What is the word I'm looking for? Pushing my agenda. It is about me providing a voice for you, and how I'm going to serve the people. Not that I'm going to lead, but how I can best serve the people that choose to follow me because they choose to give me authority and power that the Constitution is vested at possible, right? So it's important to understand that as we go forward. But first and foremost, the platform that we're running on is not that I have all the answers, because I don't think I have all the answers. I am merely one voice in a pool of many. So my promise to people is that I will filter everything that I hear from people, every bill that comes across my face, every one that I introduce, I filter it through two perspectives. One is faith and the other is Constitution. And if they cut the mustard with regard to those two things, then I represent you for this perspective in Tallahassee. And just because you're not in my district, some of you will be, but just because you're not in my district doesn't mean that you don't need to support people that embody those principles. And I'll explain why in just a second. The other thing is all the obvious reasons, right? So I am a conservative, and everything that comes along with that. I am a constitutionalist, and everything that comes along with that. But those are givens when you run with a certain platform, right? So, but there's intangibles. So when we hire someone, I believe that we can train people to do practically anything. But what I can't train people in are the intangible things that they should have. And I'm going to run through a few things that I think leadership needs to embody that are intangibles. And these are some of the things that you can look for. Because if you're going to run from someone, the prerequisite should be that I'm capable. Okay, I'm capable. But when you hear what I say, is what I'm saying lacking passion, or does it possess passion? Because passion, I think, is a very important concept. It's a construct that can be both positive and negative, right? So it can be constructive or destructive, the same way a flame can be. So if we don't get a lot of rain in Florida and someone lights a match and drops it out in the woods, we have a big problem. Right? We have a fire that'll destroy homes and destroy acres and acres and acres of property. But we can take that same flame, that same passion, and we can light a wick that's in a wax, that's encased in glass. And now that same flame that is destructive in one regard now lights a path in the midst of darkness. So it becomes something that's very constructive. So passion is necessary, but it has to be channeled into a means of constructive growth and movement forward. That's an intangible. You can't teach someone passion. Either they have it or they don't. Conviction is the same thing. Why are you in this race? Is this a career for you? Is this just another step in the rung of the ladder for you? Or are you convicted for the right reasons to represent people? Because if you lack conviction, those are the same people that when things get tough, or when there's a mob, or when there's people who were supposed to feel a certain way and they don't, and you have to go against them, even though they may be on your side if you pick sides. Do you have the conviction to stand tall on what you know to be right, what you know to be true? Because if you don't, that's when we see people flipping and flopping and doing everything in between. Empathy, I think, is something else that's very big, because as I stated before, this is not about the leader, and it's also not about the people being led. It's about the service that the person who is in a leadership position is going to provide to those who choose to follow, right? Because this is a process of power that's given, that's granted by the consent of the governed. So if you don't, or if you lack empathy, then you lack the capacity to understand that perspective. And I think the last intangible is objectivity. And that's a learned task that's cultivated, what I like to say, through awareness and disciplined emotional responses. So you need someone that understands what it means to be objective, what it means to take a step back, not respond emotionally and only see things through a narrow tunnel, but that can evaluate everything and come to a decision that unifies us and brings us all forward. Right? So those are intangibles that I hope people look at as they look at candidates, not just whether or not he or she is likable, because likable doesn't get the job done all the time.
Yeah, that's incredible. And that is really great advice as we go and vet or research politicians. I mean, I know this is my first year running campaigns and meeting politicians face to face. And those are some really great key points that you made about things to look for, because we want people in Tallahassee. Florida Freedom Keepers was able to be in Tallahassee this last session, and Scott Plankin announced Florida Freedom Keepers on the House floor, which was like a major deal. And it was my first time ever going to Tally, ever being in session, seeing how it runs. And it's crazy. It's incredible. But when the going gets tough, you need passionate people that are going to remember that they serve their community. And it's so important. We the people. That's why this country was founded. It's we the people. And we can't forget that we have a voice and that we have politicians that are willing to stand up and step up for us. And I'm just so grateful that Florida Freedom Keepers community is able to meet you tonight and to hear your voice. And I hope we can have more conversations with you. I think you're brilliant. And I just love that you are standing up for American values, your Christian values. And I think it's great.
Awesome. Well, you asked a question before, so and I went off on a tangent, so I apologize. But I said earlier that some of you all will be in the district that I'm in. So if that's the case, I'm asking for your support. I'm asking for your vote, right? If you're not, like I said before, regardless of whether we're in or out of the district, we need more people in Tallahassee in leadership that embody these principles. So you should consider supporting people even outside of that. So the ones that are here, I'm going to ask for your vote. If you're willing to participate in the campaign, I'm going to ask you to reach out so we can participate in the campaign, because we really need to make sure this message rings true. At the same time, if you're not here and you can't volunteer and you can't vote, I'm going to ask for your support financially, right? So it doesn't have to be anything big. Any amount matters and any amount counts. But that is how you participate in this process. And the more you begin to participate, the more you embody this process and it becomes part of you. And then you have the ability to complain about it a little bit. But if you're not going to take action, you can't complain, you can't have an opinion. So either way, I look forward to serving you all. And I appreciate you all listening and bringing me on to just explore what our perspectives are and what this campaign is all about. And I look forward to speaking with you all much, much more in the future.
Yeah, and I'm sure that he will post ways that you can either donate or campaign. I know some of our community members did door hanging last week. They took their kids to go, and you just hang a door flyer. And it was a really great opportunity to teach our children what it's like to be active politically and why it's important for us to raise awareness for politicians that will go to Tallahassee, that will stand up for us. So if you are in District 80 and you like what Drew has to say, please reach out to him. And he has different ways that you can campaign. If you are not in that area, there are ways that you could cold call or that you can donate financially, like he said. But when it comes to Tallahassee, there is so much that goes on there. The more like-minded politicians that we have, the better it is to push bills through or to stop bills. That's going to be really invaluable because I know July 1st bills started being submitted. So we're going to start to see what the pulse of session starting in March 2021 is going to look like. And we really need strong advocates that are willing to speak up and not stay silent. So we're so grateful so much for you being here. Thank you for your time. We know that you have a family that you attend to. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave with the Florida Freedom Keepers community tonight?
No, just I appreciate all of you all, and I appreciate you again. I'm surprised I didn't get any interruptions either, but I will post a link down below. I love questions. I love engagement. And so feel free to reach out. Feel free to post questions. Send me a message, and I'll be happy to reach out to you all and answer those, or jump back on if there's a couple questions that people really want to hear an explanation for. So I just appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to serving District 80 in Tallahassee.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And on behalf of Florida Freedom Keepers, it is truly an honor to get to know you. And I will love to help with your campaign as well.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Have a wonderful night.
All right, you too.